Howdy, everybody. Today is October 25th, Tuesday. The time is 5:31. We do not have a quorum present, so we will delay opening the meeting until a quorum is present. Sorry for the delay. Good afternoon, everybody. The time is 5:32. Today is Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. We are here for the regular session of the Coppell City Council. There is a quorum present, so I'm calling in the meeting to order. We will be convening into executive session in the first floor conference room. After executive session is over, I'll come announce that work session is open and invite the public to join us. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. The time is 6:28 p.m. We have recessed from executive session and we are moving into work session in the first floor conference room, and the public is invited and encouraged to join us. Thank you. City Council. Item A is discussion regarding our agenda items. Does anybody have any questions on our extensively long agenda tonight?
I have none.
Councilmember Carroll.
I'll ask about number 12. I don't know, Jared.
Number 12.
Is
You
it
know.
on for?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's me today.
Okay. not that I have any issue with that, but just curiously, so we've decided to not even come back with a reduced amount or anything, right? Is that, so how do we get to that? Does the whole group sort of come to that
The
conclusion?
minute you settle one case, they file a new one. This is, remember about 3 months ago, you
Mhm.
settled one, they immediately filed a new one. So we immediately have to oppose it, and then we'll negotiate over the next 6, 7 months. Another new rate, and
Okay,
then we'll be back. and
so
then
we will be back, I mean,
Yeah,
even
it's
though this is
almost-
the end of that 90-day period, they're gonna come back again with something else.
Don,
right?
Don, these are like nightmares that never end.
Well, that's what I assumed. I assumed this would not be the end of it. I was just
Boom,
curious.
deny, and discuss.
So this is,
And
I
it's
didn't,
constant. There's this and the electric thing, it's constant fussing around with or
In Atmos, yeah.
I didn't realize this was a new one though, but that. I thought
This
it
is
was-
the one we extended 90 days ago?
No, that was.
Was that Atmos? Oh, okay. So we got Atmos coming back up.
Yeah, it's
Like
like,
we extended that 90 days.
literally, they settle one case, and like the next day, they file a new rate case. I mean,
What this does is it allows them to negotiate the price rather than just accept what Encore brings to us. So we're denying what they're asking for so that we can go back and negotiate.
And who helps us decide what is fair?
OCSC uses an attorney.
Okay.
There's an attorney that works with OCSC and the Committee of Cities.
So like all of us in the aggregate, right? They,
Yes.
to come to the same conclusion.
Yes, they represent our, it's really, I feel like this here, an accountant. So they really go through and do the capitalization, cost of delivery, and fair rate of return. And they analyze that where the company will try to add in the capital stuff they shouldn't.
Mm.
It's really an operating expense, and so they get them on that and call them their depreciation, how they calculate all that. And they always fatten it up, we always take out the fat and the rate.
Okay. So it's, I mean, I'm assuming this is a cat and mouse game every single time.
Yes.
It's just the game, this is the game we play. Okay.
It's
All right, well, that's, I was just curious, sort of
It's an
get.
annual dance. And the only guy that's is Tom Dorka, he's not back in Jeff Gay and Jeff.
Yeah.
All right.
Our former lawyer was on a nice horse farm.
All right, any other agenda items?
Said you were talking about me.
Seeing none, I'm going to move on to item B, which is the Moore Road Boardwalk discussion. Adam?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me this evening. My name is Adam Richter, and I'm the Assistant Director here for the Parks and Recreation Department. And thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the Moore Road Boardwalk project update. Tonight's update will be primarily to update you on the status of the design process. Okay. And just to be clear, we are not here this evening asking you to approve this project. But we are, at the end, I will be asking for your, at the end of the presentation, I'll be asking to seek feedback on a funding strategy for this project. So, before we get going, before we get to that, I would like to take you back to 2019. I just kind of want to go full circle with this project, from where we started, just to get everyone refreshed, and where we're going with this thing, okay? Back in 2019, after strong community input, City Council did provide direction to move forward with the project. Contract was executed between the city and Half & Associates for the design portion of the project. Then came 2020, where Moore Road Boardwalk project, along with all CIP projects, were put on hold due to the impacts of proposed Rule 3.334, which basically provided or helped us, or I'm sorry, made us question how sales tax will be collected in the state of Texas moving forward. I just want to bring you back and give you a better visual of the entire site. Okay, this is what we're talking about. This is Moore Road Pond. We got Parkview Place right to the south, where it intersects with Lodge Road. And then off to the east, we have Northmore Road. Okay, 2021 came along and the floodgates opened up and council provided direction to move forward with the design completion for the project. So we moved forward, we were going, and then we hit about April of 2021 where Half Associates basically came to us and said, you know, that's great that you want to do this project, but there's also, we're noticing some erosion issues. So some stormwater drainage improvement project was put in place to help protect our investments with the boardwalk project. And fast forward 2022, this is really the fourth quarter of this process. When I came on board, design phase just got completed. The project went out to bid later in the late summer, and Repcon LLC was the only company to bid on the project, and their bid was $1.96 million. And I have this picture down below to kind of just show you where, if you look over here, sorry about that, right where the intersection is, there's that chute that juts out here towards the pond, and that is where the stormwater drainage improvement project is. Sorry about not having a better picture for that. Okay, let's take you to this here, just a couple of visuals here to kind of help us bring it full circle. On the left, you see the site plans of how the boardwalk will go across the pond. And then right below it is where the storm water drainage improvement project to short the erosions will go. Off to the right is a picture from a different community that this is kind of what ours is going to look like. If installed, we'll have the black fence handrail there. It'll be powder coated. Those bars will go vertical so that to deter people from standing on them to hop over into the water, to avoid those safety and hazard concerns.
I was thinking something else while you were talking. You said they were going to be powder coated?
That was the original idea, but nothing is set in stone yet for that. We can talk about it if you'd like.
We'll do that when the time is appropriate.
Okay, sounds good.
Expensive.
What's that?
Expensive.
Well, okay. So we have a bridge going into the core that's just raw steel that is allowed to naturally rust.
Right.
I personally don't like that. I just want to make sure we're not going to do that.
We will avoid that at all costs.
Thank you. Okay, I'm done.
Within the 1.96.
I'm done. That's all I needed to hear. Thank you.
Okay, so you can see up there in the pond and how the boardwalk will be 486 linear feet, and it'll connect, you know, from the west to the east and go across into the water with 66 piers. That will go down anywhere from 20 to 40 feet in depth.
40 feet.
The pond does not go there, but into the ground to get them secure. Yeah. And then we just have a cost breakdown put here. Out of this 1.952, 95% of the costs are listed in those first six cells. So 456 all the way down to the 300,000. If you add all those up, that's 95% of the total cost for the project. So as you can see, you know, with the cost going up, concrete, labor, steel, everything, it's been crazy these past couple of years. And then if you add the Permatrack Boardwalk #1, and then #5, the actual installing of the piers, with the concrete and labor, those two numbers right there are 55% of the project. But those are the big ticket ones. And there's 36 items listed in the bid, and 95% are rested right here in these six, in the first six. And here I just have a little recap, snapshot of the previous size, and kind of just bring it all together so you can see it on one screen. Just take you from January 2019 when the design phase kicked off all the way until now, September 2022 when we received the one bid from Repcon. So the next steps would be to approval to award the bid to Repcon in the amount of 1.96 at a later city council meeting. We have identified November 8th, the next city council meeting. It's my understanding there are ARPA funds to cover this project. So that would be the staff's recommendation, would be to use ARPA funds. If that's not something council wanted to do, we could look at maybe doing CRDC funds. Just so you know, the construction phase, if we were to award it in November, construction phase estimated that it would begin in February of 2023 after talking to the president and CEO of Repcon. And currently, right now, the project timeline he's identified, if we did start in February, would be 8 to 10 months, and that's subject to change if things keep getting crazier and crazier out there in the environment. That could be subject to change. So at this point, any questions or comments from council?
Adam, I just wanted to be real clear on the piers,
Yes, sir.
40 to 60 feet? Or 20 to 40?
20 to 40.
20 to 40 feet. So this 600 plus thousand is based on maxing out at the 40
Yes.
feet? So if they're using less, that cost reduces?
Correct. This 1.952 is worst case scenario. Okay, they're planning to, you know, if it were to be 40 feet, and we're hopeful, they're hopeful, we're all confident that all the piers will do it at 40 feet. So if it goes down to 20, there'll be some big cost savings for the city.
So you have a linear price
Right.
set up,
Per linear foot.
Correct.
but everything's assumed to be 40.
Yes. Worst
And
case scenario.
You guys go through and, do we have a third party who's inspector who's looking at those piers and seeing where the bearing strata is?
Yes. Permatrack.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been working with a guy named Fritz from hers, and he actually came out here a week ago to kind of just see the site. And
Yeah.
he told me not to worry, you know, he'll be out here whenever I need him. So he plans to come inspect not only when they're completed, but through the installation.
Yeah, I mean, every hole too.
Is
From
permanent.
the depth, right? I mean, the materials testing company has to analyze the bearing strata to make sure they've gotten down to that, to the right layer.
What are they trying to reach? Bedrock or not? Or just something solid?
Probably something just solid. I don't think you need to go to bedrock for something. Yeah.
And the third party is a contract, depending on the cost of the contract, it would be coming to council? The Permatrack, or is it part of the,
Permatracks are,
Permatrack's part of the project.
part of the project?
yes, sir, it's
Okay.
already included.
Materials testing for.
That's part of the breakout, is the cost?
But we're paying them, right?
Yeah.
But it's included.
It's not the contractor, right? That's what I was trying to say.
And have we worked with Repcon before?
We have, we're actually engaged in a contract right now. with
They're
regards to-
doing the intersection project,
Oh.
they'll bid that.
Doing a good job for us?
Very good.
All right.
Do we know why we only got one bid on the job?
It is just tough out there. I've talked to some other contractors. For example, there was a main line, sewer lines in Keller that were going for $3 million, and only 3 companies bid on that one, whereas 3 years ago it would have been 8 to 9. So it's just tough everywhere you go. After talking to other cities and other contractors, it's kind of the same story over and over again. They're kind of picking and choosing. They're picking the big ones, you know. Obviously cost, everything, and that's throwing a kink in it, labor shortages and all that.
Did you?
Thank you, Adam, for the presentation.
Yes,
Can you please go back to the cost breakdown slide?
Sure can.
So the handrail, it shows 136,000. And you showed us a picture in the first or second slide. Is that what we're going to get?
That is really up to us. I've already talked to, I've talked to Repcon, the president and CEO, and he said he would work with us on getting what we want. But that is just one example of what Permatrack has done.
Can you go back and show us the picture, please?
Yes, sir.
Is that what we're going to get?
Something similar to that where we just don't want the bars in the middle going horizontal. Want them going vertical so kids can't stand on them and hop over and do all that kind of stuff.
How many linear square feet handrail?
Just enough to cover the 486 linear feet.
Both sides?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
John?
Hey, stay on that one. That rail, how tall is that? It seems kind of
I
short.
believe it's 5.5 feet. I
It
have
is
that
5.5?
number in my head.
Wow. Okay, it seems kind of short from this, so it'd be 5.5.
I'll get you an answer, a correct answer. For some reason, I have the boards and I have the railings in my head.
So,
Mike,
if
you
you look in the
okay?
upper left-hand corner, you can see the other side. It gives you a little bit better perspective about the height of it.
Maybe 4 feet at most. Yeah. So that's one of them. Yeah, I'd like to know what the heights are on those. And then if you could go back to, there was a timeline you actually provided as to 2019. Okay, right there. At what point the project design, it says move forward, right? And at what point was it on January 21st? It
Okay.
says project design moves forward, right? At what point was the design completed?
The design was completed, I think, the spring of this year.
Spring of this year,
22.
like,
I was just coming on board when John was kind of leaving and when I was coming on board.
so when you say spring, like, what are we talking about, March, April, or
I think it was
February, or
Middle of March.
March?
Yep.
So, I'm just wondering, how come we didn't, is that when we actually put out the bid, for request
It
for
is.
bid, and then it took this long to get that, or?
I think it was early September, late August when we went out to bid. We were trying to hopefully wait for the project manager position to get filled, and it just never getting filled. And we had other priorities coming through the pipeline. You know, if we try to go out to bid for that one, we're receiving a lot of heat from that neighborhood over there to get that project done. We're trying to go out to bid for that one. But to answer your question, no, we did not.
Okay. And I'm guessing that one bid, is it pretty much, have you closed it, or?
We have not. We're just here to discuss.
No,
See-
the bid is closed.
Oh, the bid
is
Yes,
closed?
the bidding process is
Okay.
closed. That's how they determine they only have to.
It closed on the 22nd of September.
Okay. Yeah, can you please go back to that cost breakdown screen again? Stormwater improvements, 300,000. Is that added from the 1.2 million later on, or was it part of the original bid or original cost?
No, the original cost was $1,033,000, and it was added later.
This 300,000 was added to 1.
I think, yes.
It was 160,000. That's what.
That's why
Yeah,
it
so-
confused me.
Right.
It shows
Yeah.
660, now it's showing 300.
2021, it was, 2021, it was estimated at a cost of 160. And then come September of 2022,
It's
the bid said 300,000.
said 300,000.
Okay.
That clear that up?
I got your 1.2, yeah, so the 1,033,000 plus the 160.
Right.
Got it, okay.
So to the question this evening, if you want to answer it. If not, we'll just come with a recommendation. But the question this evening is, you actually have 3 pools that you could tap. CRDC, which, again, funding is in place for that. Secondly is ARP funds, which the initial 1.2 is already designated out of that. And then the last is, as you know, we just went through and amended the budget to reflect moving the funds on the sales tax. You could actually use general fund balance if you wanted to use that for one-time expense. So you have money, you have 3 different options to choose from. While we're recommending ARP because that was money given to us that we didn't ask for, you can choose to do CRDC, which has it designated, or we could use one-time funds out of the general fund balance, which is an appropriate use of the funds.
Don first.
Ooh.
Well done, sir.
Can you go to the, I guess where you can see the whole map? Can you walk through the history, I guess, a little bit? I'm not familiar with that park. Is that where the boardwalk was initially, years ago?
When I came on board in 2012, it had just gone through and been torn up, and the latest round of flooding rain. So much so that Brad and his team, when they came to council and said, we have to replace it. We can't keep doing this repair, because it was a floating dock, and it kept floating out of its, I'll say piers, but that's not the right word, but.
Moorings.
Yeah, the moorings, right? It kept floating out of its moorings. So since sometime prior to 2012 in July when I came here, it was already obliterated.
Yeah.
But it's had to be taken out, right? So since that time, we've gone through the Andy Brown Park system, where the community came out and said, please put that trail back. Our Trails Master Plan has that back in there. Then we did the Parks Plan Master Plan update. The community said, do that. The Parks Board, at the time, had rated that as a priority project for us, which then got you to 2019. So does that help you as far as a little bit of
It
history?
does, and I was also, so the south side of the lake there, is that just all brush? Is that what that is, or is that a wooded area or something?
It's all the above.
Okay. So it's just connecting those two trails is what
Yeah.
it completes this big trail and everything.
Right.
Okay, I was just trying to get some background on the intent, the high level intent around the boardwalk. You haven't asked or anything, but I'm in favor of it, and I guess I like using the ARPA funds. I don't know that I have a preference, but that seems like a logical thing. So that's my 2 cents.
Nailed it. That was good.
You're up. Can you top it?
Kevin,
I have questions. Is there any strategic advantage for us to maybe like split it among those things, move it away from ARPA funds to, because I feel like that ARPA pool, I feel like we've done the prioritization and some things have kind of slid up and slid down and so I just didn't know if, would it be advantageous to us for, to go to those other funding sources and have those infrastructure projects, other projects that may be coming up and use the ARPA funds for those?
No.
Okay.
In terms of, if I
Doesn't
understand
matter.
your question correctly,
It doesn't matter.
you have, because you have multiple options, right? By leaving the CRDC in place, it frees you up for those that are specific to CRDC funding, as opposed to using some of the CRDC funding for this, right? So it creates more flexibility in the CRDC. On the general fund
you're talking
on
about.
the general fund side, again, because we've talked all along, that's one-time money, right? It's not ongoing operations. And you know what we've done on that side of the equation, especially with this last move. So again, if you don't use that, it creates flexibility for you. I'll give you an example. That gives you more money to use for Royal, right? So that's the balancing that we're coming to you and saying, hey, we've got this over here that could be really good for Royal. We've got this over for here CRDC. We can use that for ongoing maintenance, new park improvements, those kind of things. Let's use the ARP funds, take this out, and be done with it.
Well, thank you for.
Does that help?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there was a finite time for the ARPA funds.
3 years and fourth year, basically, and we are entering the second year.
2024.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, my 2 cents then, I would support ARPA funding if that's what staff's recommending and keeps that flexibility going, so I'm in favor of that.
Okay, Bijou?
One more question. The warranty for this, what is the warranty?
It's a 10-year warranty, but it's built to last 50 to 75 years. That's what he told me on site.
Why not give 15, 50,
Well,
75
well beyond us.
I have a question. Mike, I just want to ask you on ARPA funds. I know we had a wide range of things that we could use the ARPA funds.
Right.
And this is one of them.
That's part of it, yes.
Right. If we use the funds from this for this project.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing that you already looked into it already, but are there any other projects that's within foreseeable future that we could be using this and have this being covered by CRDC? And it's going similar to what he's talking about, right? Because having the flexibility of this fund using for other things rather than tying this to CRDC, which CRDC is pretty much, you can only do you're only locked on so many things, right?
Right.
So that's,
Yeah, the answer is yes, looked at it. The flexibility, as an example, since we started ARPA, you've added the East Bethel, the drainage work, right? You've added the frontage road, and both of those projects came up after your initial designation on the spreadsheet. So you have your spreadsheet, you've identified those projects, you remember there's just a couple at the bottom that just kind of fell out, you know, in terms of, hey, these are where our priorities are. So we're still staying focused on those priorities. Even after, if you utilize, even after you utilize, let's say, this roughly 700,000, there are still funds in ARPA that you have flexibility. Plus, you have the ability to redesignate funds, even from your priority list, right, as you go through that. So I would say to you that you still have funds available in ARPA, that you still have flexibility, even though we have prioritization, because we're not fast moving through some of those projects. Does that make sense to you?
yeah, after this, if we designate or reallocate the, what is it now, what, 800,000?
700,000.
To this, what's the total amount that we have left
I thought
after
it was
this?
around, I'm gonna defer.
Yeah, well, so part of that will be, when we come back at the end of, it'll be beginning of February, after we get to that January deadline for the business assistance grants. At that point, we'll know how much has been reallocated, kind of through that final push,
Right,
to know then, okay, how much do we have then to potentially reconsider where we'd like to put those dollars. I don't know that I can tell you right now. As it stands today, with everything allocated now, we have probably less than $10,000 or $15,000.
okay. So-
Now, that's assuming all $1 million is
Right.
allocated out of the
Right.
business assistance,
And
that
that's-
sort of thing, but
That's on paper
probably not gonna
designated.
happen.
That doesn't mean it's actually gone.
Right, okay.
Which is, I think, part of the challenge we have. That's the reason why we were able to come to you about the frontage road for East Lake or even Bethel's, because it's a spreadsheet right now. Until you actually authorize the project, we don't count it as spent.
Okay.
We just have that as, this is direction, so we'll come to you doing.
I hate to interrupt, but somebody just shut our door out there.
Bob did, and he's standing there in case anybody wants to come in.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I just saw the door shut.
There's a crowd out there.
Yeah.
You're rowdy.
Exactly. Very sober.
Are they gonna have the same clothes on?
They told me. They better not have just tricked me.
So do,
Well, you don't look all.
so, do we want to, is everybody okay going ARPA, or anybody have a strong reservation against it? I saw Don and Kevin with a thumbs up on that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's logical.
John?
I'm a little hesitant, but I am okay using the ARPA fund. And you did say that we're coming to 2 years already.
We're into year two.
2 years.
And November 8th, we can bring you the updated spreadsheet just in terms of this is the status, just where we are. It's more just a picture of that right in that moment, so that you can kind of see specifically to your question. Here's what's designated,
Yeah.
here's what's.
Well-
And the idea, again, is it's included in the resolution about where the funding's coming from. So
Well-
if that night you decide to change and say, hey, we're gonna go this way or that way, we're okay with that.
And if I may, I'll make one more comment. I mean, honestly, I wasn't for the bridge even when it was 1 million. And this being 2 million, double the cost, I'm really not for it. But I realize, I understand, the decision was made before I even got to the council. And it is one of a promise that I guess the previous council have made to the citizens. So, and I'm willing to look into that as, in that perspective, but $200 for a bridge in the economy, current situation is really something hard for me to just take in.
Understood.
Bijou, do you have a?
I'm okay using the ARPA part.
I tend to agree because, you know, we could pull it from CRDC, but if you do that, you're gonna be limiting what you can spend your CRDC funds on. And I really like having that nice, healthy CRDC for park-related projects, which this is, but it also happens to qualify under ARPA, which some CRDC projects don't. And the same argument to me goes with the general fund. You know, we're much better using that where it can be used, and since this is allowed under ARPA, it makes sense to me to use it as such. Okay.
So we'll bring, when we bring the resolution on November 8th, the funding source will be ARPA. So that's what you'll see.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The time is 7:01 p.m. We are recessing from work session, and we'll start regular session of the city council at 7:30.
What happens when you do what you're told?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was told that I'm on the right.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. It is I must say it is probably the brightest evening we've ever had. The time is 7:30 p.m. and we're going to move into the regular session of the Coppell City Council. As a reminder, any persons wishing to speak during our citizens' appearance must please sign the appropriate register located outside the council chambers and list your residence address. Tonight, we are honored to have Mr. Wadud Hassan here to give our invocation, and then we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing.
Good evening. I come to you on behalf of the City of Coppell, Allies and Community Interfaith Group, and the Coppellians at the Islamic Center of Coppell. I thank you for inviting me to deliver the invocation tonight. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise to God, the creator of heavens and the earth, our sustainer, our master of this life and the next. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us along the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, not those who has gone astray from your pleasure. God, creators of every precious human being, diversity, ethnicity, culture, language, so that we may get to see the wonders of your greatness and majesty in each other. Grant us the unity of heart for your service and the service of each and every creation without bias. Facilitate our affairs with deep guidance away from ego and allow us to rise to our best self. Our Lord, bless us, our families, and our community. Guide and empower our elected and city officials to make decisions that maintains the sacred institutions of family and community. Guide us to maintain the harmony and sense of inclusion in our beautiful city. Remove from our hearts any ills towards others. Help us focus on our commonalities while appreciating our diversity. Help us set good examples for our children by supporting what is right and by standing up united against what is wrong or anything that displeases you. Inspire us to face adversity with humility and courage while swiftly addressing them. Help us maintain the integrity and good reputation of our city while continuously self-improving. Our Lord, as represented in this chamber, we ask you to reward those of us that volunteer their time and effort to be of service to others. In your blessed name we pray. Indeed, you're all hearing, all knowing. Amen.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. John, you want to join me down front?
Just a heads up, since Sean's gonna go down, I think he's gonna make the motion, we told him, go make the motion from down there. You're gonna steal it? Oh. I like it.
So would representatives of the various groups here like to come forward while we do the proclamation? This is for the Korean Hanbok Day. Come on down.
Yeah, come on down.
영상이 올라오죠. 저기 오세요. 오세요.
Okay. That's fine.
우선은요. 지금 다 들어갈 수 있으니까 다 나오세요. Everyone come up. Yeah, everyone.
All right, thank you very much. Council, for your consideration. And I need to apologize for the group. I've been trying to take some very quick Korean pronunciation lessons from Councilmember John, and I think I flunked, so I apologize. Whereas the hanbok is the traditional attire of the Korean people, and whereas the origin of the hanbok can be traced back to 2333 BC, when the legendary goddess Daegung founded the first Korean kingdom. In Goseon, portraits of Daegung depict him dressed in a garb resembling a hanbok, and whereas the hanbok consists of three main components, the jiojiri, the upper garment, the baji, pants, and shima, skirt, and was created during the early years of the Three Kingdoms of Korea period. The purpose of the hanbok was to represent beauty and to facilitate the ease of movement, and whereas mural paintings dating back to the Three Kingdoms of Korea period show that there are no distinct differences in men's and women's hanbok, and whereas the hanbok has been a continuous part of Korean culture, society, and history for over 2,000 years, and whereas the hanbok is representative of the important ancient tradition that befit all of society, but demonstrating beauty, stability, and respect for our ancestors. Whereas in 1996, the Republic of Korea declared October 21st as Hanbok Day, and whereas we celebrate the contributions of the Korean community since 1903, when the first Korean immigrants arrived in Hawaii. Now, therefore, I, Wes Mays, Mayor of the City of Coppell, do hereby declare October 21st, 2022 as Korean Hanbok Day and urge all citizens to participate and celebrate the beauty of the Korean culture. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Coppell to be affixed this 25th day of October, 2022. Councilmember John?
Make a motion first. Mayor, I move to approve the proclamation designating October 21st, 2022 as Korean Hanbok Day.
Thank you, and we have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Matthew. All in favor?
Long, Carol, Nevels, John Matthew Hill, all in favor, none opposed, the motion carries.
Now, I have a small suspicion that Councilmember John would like to say a few words.
First of all, Mayor, thank you. Council members, thank you. And Mr. Lan and the staff for the proclamation and recognizing the Korean Hanbok Day. There is, Mayor have read out on the proclamation, this goes back 2033, I believe he said. And there are a number of organizations here representing different various organizations throughout the Metroplex. But Hanbok Day is actually celebrated throughout the United States in various parts of the states and cities, and I thought it would be fitting to try to do that here as well. So we really appreciate the recognition and the proclamation. Let me just go ahead and recognize a few of the representatives here, organizations. First, the Consulate of Republic of Korea in Dallas, Council Yuri Lee is here. Oh. And I believe the Dallas Korean Society president is running late right now. Next, we have the National Unification Advisory Council Dallas Chapter President Won Young Kim is here. And then we have the Dallas Korean Senior Association President Hung Mo Oh, and his members are here. We also have the Korean American Development Foundation President Chung-sun Lee. And we also have the Korean adoptees making reunion attainable, also known as 325 camera. Susan Rucker and her, yeah, few of them joining you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we also have the Korean language school here as well with some of her students.
Thank you.
And last but not least, the Korean Traditional Music Association of Texas, Ms. Sung Shin Park, and her students. And Mayor, they might want to say a few words, but before they do that, I just want to make a note about Miss Park and her music association. They actually educate and perform and exhibit the Korean culture throughout the Metroplex. And they were scheduled to actually perform in Irving Art Center, but they changed it, and they're actually having the performance here in Coppell next year, May 29, 2023, 6 p.m. at the Art Center. And they are actually bringing 18 performers directly from Korea to perform, and so the Coppell could have this experience. So it will be an event for you to remember, so please remember that there will be more information coming out about next year, May 29, 2023, at 6 p.m. for the performances. And Mary, if you're okay, there might be a few that wanted to... Yeah, sure.
Oh, yes. Hello, my name is Ruth Wong, and I represent the Korean adoptee group that we have in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And there are more than you think there are of Korean adoptees that came from the orphanages in Korea and foster homes in Korea. And I'm one of them, and my partner in crime, Bob, back there is one of them, and we have a whole bunch of people that are Korean adoptees. We also work very closely with the 325 camera because we're also looking for our biological parents or sisters, family members. So keep an eye open for anybody that looks like somebody, because it's probably my sister or my brother or my twin, or, heaven forbid if we have another one of me. But please keep an eye open. Just be gentle with us. We don't know how to speak Korean. We would like to, but it's not our fault. We were adopted when we were young, and I was raised in Nebraska, so you can imagine how many Koreans are there. So I just wanted to say that we are around, and please be gentle with us. Thank you.
Just to go on what she just talked about, there are a number of actually adoptees, not just Koreans, but throughout different countries that were adopted at young age. Unfortunately, back then, if the parents actually didn't apply for citizenship, they didn't get the citizenship automatically. So they were actually out of status right now. Many of them, over 18,000, are out of status. The law has changed where now you become automatic citizen once you're adopted. But it's not the case for others who were adopted before that law was passed. So there's an active adopted group that's actually trying to, retroactively give that citizenship to those that were brought here at a young age, not knowing that they had to actually apply for the citizenship. So please support the adopted group as well.
Yeah. Everybody, Arirang.
아리랑 아리랑 아라리요 아리랑 고개를 넘어간다 아리랑
Item 7 on the agenda is another proclamation, and this is through our Parks and Rec. Miss Jessica Carpenter and staff, please come on up. That's going to be a hard act to follow.
It is. We brought a speech. Yes, no song. Sorry.
Council, for your consideration. Whereas Arbor Day was first observed in 1872 with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas 2022 is the 150th anniversary of the holiday, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees beautify our community, provide habitat for wildlife, and are a source of joy and spiritual renewal wherever they are planted. Now therefore, I, Wes Mays, Mayor of the City of Coppell, do hereby proclaim the month of November as Arbor Day Celebration Month in the City of Coppell, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, thereby promoting the well-being of future generations. In witness thereof, I set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Coppell to be affixed this 25th day of October, 2022. Council, do I hear a motion, please? Councilmember John.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the proclamation designating October as Arbor Day Celebration Month.
And seconded by Councilmember Nevels. All in favor?
Long, Carol, Nivels, John, Matthew Hill, all in favor, none opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. And you said you had a song for us?
No. I'll leave that to the professionals. My name is Mara Reed. I am the coordinator at the Biodiversity Education Center. And we would like to invite you all to celebrate Arbor Day with us at Fall Frolic, which will take place on Saturday, November 12th at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Biodiversity Education Center will also be celebrating Arbor Day throughout the month with Arbor Day themed Eco Explorer Visitor Days with crafts. At our Fall Frolic event, we are going to be partnering with the Friends of Coppell Nature Park and Keep Coppell Beautiful. We're going to provide a fun, interactive experience for our visitors to learn about the roots and wings of the Biodiversity Center and Coppell Nature Park. So we will have treats, crafts, face painting, a live bluegrass band, as well as live birds from the Blackland Prairie Raptor Center there as well. So we're very excited for all that we have, and we hope to see you there.
Oh, you didn't? I thought that was a song. No.
We can.
Professional here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 8 is a presentation from the Coppell Sustainable Food Organization with an annual update. I've got a bunch of names here, so if you guys would introduce yourself when you come forward, that would kind of help us all.
That's actually what they hired me to do. I introduce people. We all here? Okay, good. Mr. Mayor, City Council, and at the end of our presentation, all of my fellow fighting Texas Aggies, we can just come down here and you can lead us in song. My name's Tim Thompson. I'm the president of the Coppell Sustainable Foods Organization, and we're here to deliver our 2022 annual report. Doing all the heavy lifting for me tonight is the Coppell, the Farmers Market Committee Chair, Amanda Novak, the Garden Committee Chair, Scott Warrington, and then your very own Marissa Olivas, the Community Programs Coordinator, and really our liaison to the city. So without further ado, I'm going to let Ms. Novak kick us off.
All
right, well, first of all, thank you so much for giving us some time on your agenda tonight. I'll start off by saying that there's a whole army of volunteers that make the farmers market happen. This is just a snapshot of a few of them, and so I just want to go on the record to say that I appreciate each and every one of them. They're all Coppell residents, and they put a lot of hours into making our farmers market successful. Something I wanted to highlight this year, we put in a lot of effort thanks to our farmers market director, Amanda Austin, who's in the audience. She partnered with the Texas Center for Local Food. They had a special project called the Fresh Look at Your Farmers Market, which really focuses on increasing the use of EBT or SNAP dollars at farmers market to purchase fresh local food. And by using some of their resources and going through their training, we were able to increase participation 73% since 2021. So we're really impressed with the results. A lot of their training focuses on how to make your farmers market more comfortable for SNAP or EBT dollar, people who use those dollars towards their food purchasing. You may or may not know this, but our annual Farm to Table dinner, the primary fundraising aspect of that is to fund our incentive that we give to SNAP shoppers. We give them $10 per market, and we're looking at increasing that to $20 starting in 2023, just to make up for some of that inflation that we're probably all feeling. So we're really proud of how our SNAP program has improved over the last year. We've also had some great recognition over the past year. Again, the Slow Food USA organization gave us the Snail of Approval, which just really recognizes businesses and farmers markets for adhering to a set of values that they use to evaluate us upon. And then the chamber recognized us as the nonprofit of the year this year, so we're really grateful for that. And then just some additional highlights. We have a young entrepreneur booth that's very popular. We have someone almost a group almost every week. A lot of times they're fundraising for different charities or to support their student group. We also received an $8,000 USDA COVID-19 recovery grant, which helped us out during the pandemic. The height of the pandemic, we couldn't have our fundraising dinner, and so that just kind of helped us offset some cost. And then we have a wonderful volunteer base that I mentioned. Many of them were founding members of the market almost 20 years ago. And so we are actively trying to recruit new volunteers and have created a new process. And we're very grateful that we welcome almost 2,000 visitors to Old Town every Saturday morning. So that concludes my update, Scott.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so the community garden had another wonderful year despite some weather-related challenges. Our volunteers donated over 24,000 pounds of organic fruits and vegetables, taking our total since the inception of the garden to over 323,000. That is about 269,720 healthy meals. As I'm sure you're aware, the need at the local food bank is still really high, with a lot of the federal funding that was released for COVID drying up. As of September, Metro Crest was serving about 400 to 400 families per day through the food bank. And so our donation, along with other community gardens, helps that food bank tremendously. Another thing I'm particularly proud of and passionate about is our volunteer hours. In our last fiscal year, we had over 13,242 volunteer hours, and that was spread over about 127 gardening families, as well as support from local businesses. Last thing I wanted to highlight for you guys tonight, this evening, was our partnership with the Coppell Independent School District. The school garden program donates soil and seeds, and in return, we provide transplants for their program, as well as their plant sale during EarthFest. Thanks to a few corporate donations, we completed a greenhouse optimization project, which allowed us to grow about 26,000 transplants last year. 19,000 of which went to gardeners, 5,000 went to the Coppell ISD, and about 2,000 went to our fall and spring plant sales. And now I'm going to turn it over to Marissa, our city liaison to the garden program. Thanks a lot for your time.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Marissa Olivas. I'm the Community Programs Coordinator and the liaison to the Coppell Farmers Market and Coppell Community Garden. I want to acknowledge the strength of this community partnership and the incredible contributions these groups offer to our community. Throughout the past couple difficult years, the Coppell Farmers Market and the Coppell Community Garden have adapted to challenges and grown despite them. The Coppell Farmers Market has seen continuous growth in market attendance and has received both local and national recognition for their weekly market. The Coppell Community Gardens have also seen growth in production in a time in which MetroCrest services and their patrons need it the most. Several times a year, I hear from other cities and organizations who want to start their own farmers market or community gardens. They ask how we got started and how we are currently so successful. While I wish I could give them an easy checklist of steps, I truly believe it comes down to the strong foundation and community partnership that has been cultivated throughout the years between the city and the CSFO. I want to give thanks to the Coppell Sustainable Food Organization Board and its leadership, the Farmers Market Steering Committee, our market manager, Amanda Austin, and the many, many dedicated volunteers who have contributed to the mission of this organization day in and day out. I also want to thank council and city leadership for continued support. Thank you, and thank you for having us tonight.
Council, have any questions? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I serve as the city liaison to the MetroCrest service, and the CEO of MetroCrest, Tracy Eubanks, and staff are very appreciative for all the work that you guys are doing. And serving 400 to 500 families per day is awesome. And we are very grateful for all the volunteers in the city of Coppell contributing their time and effort for this cause. Thank you very much.
So I had a question. The farm to table dinner was Saturday night. How did it go?
I think it went great. You were there. What did you think?
I wasn't. I'll defer to Councilmember Hill.
It was an awesome evening. The food was great, and the atmosphere couldn't have been a better night. And I look forward to it every year.
Well, we did order the weather by proclamation, so
Thank you.
with a little bit of wind, it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed the evening. This kind of conflicts with some football weekends for me every now and then. This was the first time in a year or two that I'd been with the COVID thing, and this was the first time that they did the buffet style, and I really enjoyed that a lot. So I thought that worked very, very well. So it was a very pleasant evening. Had a nice conversation at the table, and it was just a really nice evening. So thank you guys for putting that on, and glad it was successful.
Yes, thank you for coming. Yeah.
Oh, Councilmember Carroll. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation, and thanks for everything you do. When I look at either one of these, any of these programs, I mean, it touches so many parts of the community, whether it be the food, learning how to garden, participating with MetroCrest or anything else. I just love the fact that it really helps build the community as much as it does all those other things. And I thank you for those initiatives and everything. Going forward into the new year, are there initiatives or challenges or anything that you would like us to sort of get a sneak peek of at this point? Are there things in the offing or things that you want to address over the next year? I know.
Our biggest challenge right now is getting that feeling of community back within our gardeners. So during COVID, especially with dealing with food directly, we had to kind of social distance as much as possible. And so what that did was spread out our harvest times at kind of odd periods of the day just to kind of keep everyone distant. And so now that everyone's gotten used to that, it's bringing everyone back to get that community feel, because gardening is just about as much about learning as it is about like actually doing it, right? Because I learn something new every single time. I've been doing this for 16 years, right? So it's really trying to get everyone together and finding folks who want to garden and bringing in kind of the younger blood into our organization.
We have Amanda Austin, our market manager
Amanda.
Hi, good evening. The farmers market is
20 years old. This is our 20-year anniversary, 2023. And things have changed over time, but I think this year the biggest thing is that we have to step up to our new growth. We've experienced a ton of growth in the past few years, so I'm currently rewriting rules and guidelines and policies, and we're also we're growing, we're allowing more vendors to come to the market. So we're recruiting and trying to make the best possible selection we can, and to take up a little more space and offer more variety, because we're having so many shoppers that lots of folks are selling out every week, which is great. All good problems to have.
Right, I would agree. Those are great problems to have. Well, thanks for everything that y'all do and how much community that you do build. My daughter is over at East, and she participates in the gardening class over there. Thank you to Miss Thompson. And she loves it. I love the fact that it's something that she can engage with there at school. So thank you very much for everything y'all do.
Thank you very much for everything that you've done, and look forward to successful next year. So we'll see you next year. Thank you. Okay, item number 9 is a presentation from Public Works Director Kent Collins.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Here tonight to give you all an update on a number of projects that we've been working on. It's no secret that Coppell grew up in the 90s, and so we are in kind of the mode of rehab, reconstruct across the city and with all of our infrastructure. The projects that I'm going to present tonight total about $80 million in total value. Some are in construction, some we've just completed, others are in design. But kind of with that background, the intent is to give you that update, but also to prepare you for some council actions that will be coming to you over the next few months, so you kind of know what we're working on. This first slide is a slide that depicts some of the streets and drainage projects that we've been working on. And I'll start. I want to mention that, every 5 years, so sometimes we get the question, well, how do you know what street to work on? How do you know where to go and focus? About every 5 years, we go out and do an assessment of every street, every sidewalk, every alley in Coppell. And we're scheduled to do that this next coming fiscal year. It'll give us another shot or look at where we are condition-wise. And then we set priorities based on that and funding availability. So the first project I want to cover is one everybody's familiar with. South Beltline runs from Southwestern down to LBJ. We have a big milestone coming up next week. Our contractor is on schedule to make the first major traffic switch. So they'll be flipping traffic to the southbound lanes so they can start work on the northbound lanes. That'll be done over, I think it's the 31st and 1st. We're getting a bunch of information out. We'll be getting it up on message boards. Our contractor will be hand delivering postcards to all of the businesses that are directly affected. We're working with Hannah and our communications team to get it pushed out through all of our methods. So there'll be a lot of communication around that. We'll have a lot of staff on site when we're making that traffic switch. And obviously our contractor will have a lot of staff as well. So we'll try to make that go as smoothly as possible, understanding that it is a chaotic switch. So Plantation and Mossy Oak, we've reached the end of that project. We're finalizing all the closeout on the contract. We are, it's a little over a mile long. It's a difficult project. We knew it when we started it. These projects are not easy, working literally in people's front yards, but it is done now. One of the things that we're working with another contractor to get pricing to go in and paint the curbs that we've talked about at some of the curb ramps. And we're also getting pricing to remove some of the crossings at the uncontrolled intersections. So to describe that, before we started construction, there's 2 locations where there's an always stop. One of them is at Mossy Oak. The other one is, I forget the other crossing. There's 2 always stops. They had crossings on Plantation before we went to construction. I think in the spirit of adding a lot more access at all the other intersections, we created a crossing. We're now evaluating and don't think that was a good design decision to add those crossings. So we're getting pricing, and what that would look like is on the receiving side of Plantation, we would go in and just remove the single ramp. And then on the other side, we would also remove the ramp that feeds that crossing. So again, as we go forward, we won't add those crossings because from a total user standpoint, we don't think those are, Plantation's been there for 35, 40 years without all of those crossings. And so we don't believe that was a good design decision. So we're looking at going back in and removing those. Intersection improvement project. That's the next project I'll cover. It's depicted here with the green dots along Denton Tap. So we've got the intersections at Parkway, Sandy Lake. We have Bethel School and Southwestern. Bethel School's wrapping up. We are still waiting on an electric meter to be relocated up at State Highway 121, the right turn lane there. We had a ownership switch that got thrown at us as we went to go have that or request that meter to be relocated. It was in TxDOT's name. They said shouldn't be theirs. It should be Louisville's. So we kind of had to work through that, and we're getting there. Once that meter is out of the way, we've got about 2 or 3 weeks of work to finish that right turn lane up. Fire Station 4, we're adding a traffic signal associated with Fire Station 4. I don't know if you've noticed, probably not. It's not a big traffic impact, but it's up at North Point and Royal Lane, and it should be completed here in the next month or so. Striping project. I think we've gotten some positive feedback on the restriping effort that we're doing around town. Denton Tap is finished. MacArthur is striped, but they still have to go back and put the reflective markers. They're actually working on the River Chase bike lane restriping right now. When they're finished with that, they'll flip over to or jump over to Sandy Lake. That'll be their next focus. And then they'll complete the bike lane on Moore Road as well. And then we've got more funding in the current fiscal year to restripe, and our first focus will be north Freeport, so the section of Freeport north of Sandy Lake Road. So we've got a lot of striping work that's going on. On top of that, there's several intersections in that project that will be restriped, and that's been something that's kind of been a long time coming. We switched our standard from all buttons to combination of thermoplastic and raised markers, and we hope that that'll be easier to maintain as we go forward and should last longer. This year we spent a lot of effort in panel replacement around the city. We did extensive panel replacements down on Dividend. That's complete. We've done some panel replacement on Mockingbird, on Falcon. Those are also complete. We are still in process doing panel replacements along Moore Road and Sandy Lake Road. Those were sort of dovetailing in when school is out because they have more school traffic impacts. And so that project has gone well. We have a really good contractor on that project. Royal is in design. We expect to have, well, let me back up. We did a partial overlay in partnership with Dallas County. That was to do some level up because we had some really rough sections out there. That's to get us through so we can get the project designed and ready to bid and to go to construction as soon as Beltline is finished with construction. So, and we're on track with the design and would expect that we'd be bringing a construction contract probably late summer, early fall of 23 for Royal. So we'll finish one, jump right over to another one. I think it's our estimate right now is in the $18 to $19 million range. So it's another big project. Bullock and Howell kind of looks like the vertical equal sign on the map. We have met with the neighborhood a couple times, been in a lot of communication back and forth, asking for opinions on what they would like. We presented 3 basic options to them, and the winner and the design that we're pursuing is a traditional curb and gutter section with underground drainage. That drainage will run to the north, it will outfall, and then we'll pick it up and take it to Denton Tap. So that'll address a lot of the drainage, and that'll get that drainage to where, you know, people can grade their front yards, get it to drain to the street or to area drains that we would expect to add as part of the project. We're also adding sidewalks on both sides of the street, which we would typically do. The one concern was that around both of the cul-de-sac bulbs, the front yards are really shallow. And so if we were to add sidewalk, people maybe couldn't park in their front driveway. So what we're planning to do is carry the sidewalk to where the cul-de-sac starts and stop it there and just create a crosswalk or a marked crossing there. And then people that are in the cul-de-sac can just walk to the end of the sidewalk and go from there. So we've talked to the fire department. We will have a slightly less than standard cul-de-sac radius, but they can live with that. I mean, we've lived with that since Bullock and Howell were constructed. So it's, you know, does it absolutely meet our design standards? In this case, it won't, but we're being kind of flexible to get the best solution for the neighborhoods and bring them as close to our standards as we can, given the constraints. We anticipate that you will see a design contract during the next council meeting. So yes, we've been working on scope and fee, and we'll be ready to present that to you. Speaking of neighborhood projects, our next big neighborhood project is Woodhurst. It's depicted, it is just located east of Denton Tap, kind of right across from Plantation. It's another long residential street. We've learned some lessons on Plantation. So I can tell you we will be communicating much earlier with the neighborhood, meeting with them, getting feedback on concerns and issues. We will not try to maintain two-way traffic during the first phase. So we'll be working with fire and PD and figure out which way can we make this work, even if we have to break it up into different stretches and phases to provide access during construction. But one of our problems on Plantation was trying to maintain two-way traffic during those early phases. There's just so much going on at different points on a project like this. It's really difficult to maintain traffic control in a two-way traffic situation. So we learned some lessons, and we'll be applying those when we go forward with Woodhurst. It is completed. The design is completed. We're looking at bringing that probably late winter, early spring. We need to get through some other things before we have the capacity really to take on another, a Woodhurst. So you can anticipate that action. On to drainage projects. We are working on design of the Arborbrook Channel, and of the two blue dots that are kind of on the south end of the city. Arborbrook's the one on the right. No, the one on the left, sorry. And it is, you'll recall we had a discussion about it. It's the kind of the narrow channel that's been encroached behind, 2 rows of houses, and you've got the dog houses and walls and all those fun things. We've completed survey, and we expect 30% plans by the end of this year. So we'd be looking to we'll have a neighborhood meeting once we have those 30% plans and really get into the details with all the homeowners about what we plan to do, what encroachments might need to be moved, and how we'll work through all those things. I would expect probably next summer before we're ready to go to construction on that particular project. The three drainage projects that we've really been working on, you'll recall we sold bonds. It was a drainage projects bond last year. And so it really encompassed three overall projects. One was Stream G6. It's a tributary to Grapevine Creek. That is complete. And that was a successful project. We're able to go in, do the stabilization of the bottom of the creek to protect, you'll recall we had a storm, not a storm, a sanitary sewer in the bottom of the creek. We were able to go in and protect that, stabilize some banks. And I think that project turned out really good. We had two outfalls, one on Parker, one off Hollywood, that go into Denton Creek. They're in easements, and they are depicted. They are also complete. Wrapping those up, they're depicted in the photos, in the two photos in the right of your screen there. Yeah, much better than what it looked like before. It was very much eroded out. And then the last one is the grade control structure or drop structure up on Denton Creek, underneath Denton Tap. We've been held up for various reasons. One, we always get utility locates, and we always know they're out of the way until they're not. And so we were ready to go to construction and identified there's a utility in the way. And so we have that to work with, and the other thing is timing it with the Corps of Engineers around their releases from Grapevine Lake, because that feeds Denton Creek. And so it looks like we should be starting that project here in the next month or so. So it's kind of one of those out of sight, out of mind projects, although they will stage underneath and they'll impact that trail that runs down there in that area. So, next slide. Deep breath. Water sewer projects. We've had a few really high impact projects that we've been working on. The first is the wagon wheel elevated storage tank. It's complete. It was a rehab and repainting effort. We have to do that about every 15, 20 years. And so that's the photo, top middle there. Turned out good, matches the tank down on Southwestern, and gotten good feedback on that. Sandy Lake Lift Station, top right photo. This is the photo from 2015 when our lift station almost flooded. We're basically building a new lift station just on the left side of the photo there. We're on schedule and on track for that. It also includes a lot of instrumentation and SCADA work. So we expect to commission that project early summer 2023. It's gone well so far. We have a really good contractor engaged on that. The last one that I want to talk about is our water system redundancy project, as well as our backup generator at Village Parkway. You've heard me give updates on the backup generator. I can tell you that the switch gear that we need is installed. We were able to get that. The generator is now expected late February, March 2023. So as soon as we get it, this is one of those supply chain issues. All kinds of equipment like this has just been very much delayed. So as soon as we get it, we'll get it installed. With the switch gear, I will say, as we head into colder weather, winter months, everybody thinks about the sub-freezing temperatures and what happens at Village Parkway. With the larger switchgear, we're able to actually connect larger temporary backup generators. So that gives us a little more horsepower, if you will, if we get into the colder weather months and we still don't have our permanent backup generator installed. We are 100% design on the improvements at Village Parkway pump station. And basically what that is, we're going in and installing valves and new cross connects so that we can take portions of our pump station offline to do major maintenance and rehab. Right now, basically the pump station, all of the pumps are interconnected. They run off the same header. And so it's basically, and I won't say it's all on or all off, but we can't take parts of it completely off for major maintenance. And so that part of the water system redundancy project is at 100%. We're going to be bidding that out soon. The other big piece is our interconnects, emergency water supply interconnects with our neighbors. Council awarded the design to BGE. They are working on design. We continue to work with our neighbors on the interlocals. In fact, we had a meeting with Louisville yesterday to kind of hammer out some of their concerns. So I'm hopeful that we'll have those interlocals to you for approval in the next month or two. As we work through kind of both sides of any concerns with legal documents. But I think we're very close with Louisville and should be with Grapevine. I will say on Grapevine's side, we're asking for help on the water side. They need some potential emergency help on their sewer side. So we're looking at some ways that we can maybe help them as we have to go in and replace some of our sewer system rehab. So on our plan in the next 3 to 5 years is to look at a rehab for our DeForest lift station as we go in there. If we have the ability to add a little bit of pumping capacity to help Grapevine on their sewer needs, then again, that's that partnership that we want to pursue with our neighbors. Just as these installations would be at our cost, those installations would be at theirs, right? So the capital cost would be borne by whoever is benefiting. So so we're working through those interlocals, and I think we're in good shape. We just need to get kind of across the finish line on those two. Last two projects I wanted to mention, and council has seen and had some discussions on these. The first one is the service center improvements. We have gone through an RFQ process for architect selection, and we have narrowed it down to our preferred architect. We've went through our RFQ, went through interviews, selected our preferred architect. So we would expect to have that contract to council in December for consideration of award. The graphic kind of here on the left is really just sort of the envelope and the site analysis. The existing service center is highlighted in white. The green is kind of the opportunities for the new building, and then the red are really the access points or access lines. So obviously it would be very sensitive to our neighbors to the north and to the northwest as we get into design. So that's where we are on that. And so December contract approval. And then the last one is our enterprise asset management. Cartograph is what we're implementing for our asset management system. And if you'll recall, we planned to implement that in 2 phases. First phase was most of our traditional infrastructure, right? Water, streets, sewer, drainage, traffic, all that infrastructure. That's been implemented and we've been using it. Phase 2 was the second phase, and that's parks, facilities, and fleet, and it goes live next week. So we are on track, getting it fully implemented and up and running, and we're using it. And I think really exciting combination of Cartograph and our GIS system. We're really getting to the point where we can start modeling and predicting future infrastructure failures, and really kind of being out in front of our infrastructure needs, more proactive and less reactive. So with that, I know that's a lot. reminder, it's, it is a lot. It's a lot of money. We appreciate the support of the council, but it's all to serve the community. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Nevels.
Ken, thank you so much for the presentation. Really appreciate it. Got a lot of stuff going on. So obviously I think Beltline tends to be on people's minds. So I'm really excited to hear about the traffic switch that's coming up. But, I get asked again, are we on schedule with Beltline? How does that look? Have we had any significant delays? What's our target completion date? And are we on target for that? So would you mind speaking to that just a little bit?
Yes, so the target completion date is early summer of next year. And we are, and I always knock on wood, right? So it has been a really smooth project so far. We really haven't had weather delays. It's been, we all know how dry it was, what a dry year that is. That's not great for us from a drought perspective, but from a construction perspective, it has been good. We've been working, fortunately, the site they've been working on, there haven't been utility conflicts by and large. And we've been working hard to make sure that they don't have them when we switch traffic. So it is on track. The contractor has really been doing a good job, working hard. So we're on track so far. Knock on wood.
Mayor Pro Tem Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the update. Question is 121 and Dendon Tap right turn lane. What's the holdup there, please?
That is the electric meter that I talked about. It was in TxDOT's name. When we went to have it relocated, they said, oh, well, that shouldn't be in our name. It should be in Louisville's ownership. So we have those two working together with our contractor to get that electric meter. And that's that green box that's kind of right in the way if you drive by there. As soon as that's out of the way, we've got about 2 or 3 weeks of work, and that'll be finished.
On the same Dendon Tap, the street lights on Coppell Greens area?
Yes, they'll be in this summer, by this summer. Sorry, wait, hang on, I don't lie to you. End of the year, sorry, yep.
Construction will be completed by end of this year?
That's the plan, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Councilmember John.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I know you need some water.
I'm good.
Are you okay? The Beltline you mentioned, I haven't gone there in a few days ago, but I noticed that some section on the, I guess, the west side, some of the sidewalks, they were not done, but they are going to get done at some point. Right?
It will get done at some point, but yeah, it's not critical path for switching the traffic.
Okay, but it will get done.
It will get done.
If I remember correctly, you said on the west side it's all the way through, but on the east side, there's a portion, private land, that said that they were not wanting to go ahead and have the sidewalk done. That's still the same case, right?
Right, yeah, it was an easement they did not want to provide. So they either, they'll be developing at some point, and if they develop and we're able to get the easement, then we'll go ahead and build that section. And if not, then they'll build that sidewalk whenever they develop.
Okay. And the second one is, I know you talked about how you have a number of list of projects that's on the list and so on. If a resident had called in for a situation of their area, how do they go about checking to see where they are on the list to see when it might come up so that at least they know?
So part of it depends on the scope of the project. So if it's a, I don't know, say a couple $1 million project, like a street reconstruction, then we have that planned out for 10 years. We can tell them if you're in the next 5 years or if you're in that 5 to 10 year range. So we have that planned out. We have a 10-year CIP that we're constantly looking at and updating. They can just call our office and ask that.
Is there a website where they could actually see the list that's on?
We don't have that projected out on the website.
Okay. And the other one is, you talked about Plantation Street sidewalks and the crossing removal. I'm more of a visual, but I understand you saying you're trying to go ahead and remove some of the crossroad, I guess, crossings.
Crossings.
What what is the cost removing those after having implemented those?
Right, yeah, there will be a cost. We're getting that cost now. I don't have that yet.
Not yet, we're just in a phase of looking into it right now?
Yes.
Okay. Last one, on the Bullock and Howell, you talked about the cul-de-sac, I guess, and some part of it is not going to be done, left alone, right?
No, it'll be done. It
But
just
it's
won't be
smaller.
Yeah, we're going to expand the size, the radius of the cul-de-sac a little bit, but like our standard is 50 feet. 50 feet doesn't fit in Bullock and Howell. So we'll redo it. I mean, it'll be concrete, curb and gutter, but it won't have sidewalk because we'll stop the sidewalk at but it'll be redone. It just won't meet our subdivision requirements.
Okay, and I'm guessing you've had the meetings with both residents, those three residents, and they're all in agreement now?
Yeah,
because I know you had
there
was a disagreement for a while.
Right, we had multiple meetings, multiple conversations, specifically with there's one resident in particular who was concerned about that, and his main concern with the curb and gutter was that if you added sidewalk, it would eliminate his ability to park. And so
the drain, currently is supposed to go to the back creek and it's supposed to flow out, right? But I think you recall that creek was not in a level where it actually could drain, but rather it could probably back up.
We're picking all that up and putting it underground.
Okay, everything.
Everything. Okay. Yeah. We have a system in Denton Tap. All that should go to Denton Tap, but it's so flat it just doesn't get there very effectively.
Right.
By putting it underground, we can get slope to it. It's deep enough. The system in Denton Tap is deep enough. We can get to it and should be able to take care of those drainage issues. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council, any other questions? Thank you for your explanation and your presentations and all your time tonight.
Thank you.
Item number 10 is our citizens' appearance. Persons wishing to speak must sign the register and list their address. Presentations by individuals shall be limited to 2 minutes each, and individual speakers' time may be extended for an additional 2 minutes with the approval of a majority of the council members present. Persons signed up to speak will be called in the order that they signed up. No personal attacks by any speaker shall be made against any member of the council, mayor, individual, group, or corporation. There will be no comments or deliberation from the City Council due to the Texas Open Meetings Record Act. First to speak tonight is Ms. Barbara Bailey.
Hi, Barbara Bailey, 232 Plantation. I'm here about the sidewalks on Plantation Drive again. And one of the things that we did not get on Plantation Drive was any meet with neighbors and figure out what was the best solution and serve the community kind of thing, because that never happened, number one. Number two, I was not supposed to be around today, but I had a God moment, I guess, and I was there when there was a guy measuring across the street, and so I went and asked him what he was doing, and he was talking about tearing out pretty much what they put in and redoing the 2 sides of the curbs and not solving the problem that the neighbors think is a problem, which is the curb returns instead of the flare sides to the ramps. So anyway, I have been doing a lot more research on this, and because I could not get anything from the city that told me that they say these are the best. We're going with this. This is what our ADA people say. We're going to do this. But they have nothing in writing that shows these are better. So I've talked to the Governor's Committee with Disabilities, particularly to a guy named Norman Kiki, and I'll leave with, I don't know your name, the secretary over there, some of the emails. So I sent them pictures of, I'm sorry, I'm very upset when I saw that they were going to spend money not fixing what we need, nobody asking what anybody that lives there wants. No, we're just going to do something else and spend more money. I sent these pictures to him, and what I wrote up, and he writes back to me, "Thank you for sending the pictures in today's email with the language about the return curbs. Your concerns about the installations are understood. Why are the curbs in the pictures you sent being called return curbs? They appear to be traffic control curbs installed for the purpose of keeping vehicular traffic."
Excuse me, Ms. Bailey, your time is up.
Can I have more? This is important. You're talking about people getting hurt here.
Yeah, please proceed for 2 more.
Okay. They appear to be traffic controlled. I'm so upset I cannot tell you. They appear to be traffic control curbs installed for the purpose of keeping vehicular traffic off the sidewalk. They should have been installed differently, too. Perhaps serves to be less of a tripping hazard. And I sent Norman this, number 3, which I've quoted from this to you guys before about how all these other places call these things tripping hazards. So I sent it to Norman, and he wrote back to me, "Good job." He also had me send it to somebody in TxDOT that I don't know yet, but I will find him. And I will try to follow up with TDLR later. I have a meeting this morning with TxDOT. I'll try to bring this up, blah, blah, blah. So I am just saying that these are supposed to be for bicycles and pedestrians. You cannot ride a bicycle on these things. You cannot make if you've ever ridden a bicycle, you know you cannot make a tight turn, a 90-degree or less turn on a bicycle. You just can't. And that's pretty much it. But I am just so upset that, and I asked Norman, do you have any statistics? Do you have anything in writing that shows me that these are better? And he said, I don't have anything. So where is all this coming from that they have to have this? I mean, I can see it in an ADA application, or I don't know, in a building or out in front of a big office building or a parking lot or a stadium. Okay, I get it that there might be a place for these things. But it doesn't belong where people are walking and riding bikes, and particularly in front of houses where kids, I know 2 kids and 3 people that have fallen on these things already. And you all really should take this seriously. And I just feel really lied to because no one asked us anything. No one wants to talk to us that live over there. And it's just really, I mean, I've been in Coppell 34 years.
Excuse me, Ms. Bailey, your time is up.
I really think you all can do better.
Thank you for your comments tonight. Our second speaker tonight is Ms. Sandy Edwards.
Sandy Edwards, 241 Whispering Hills, Coppell, Texas. I'd like to come and give a different aspect on what our first speaker just talked about with the curbs. I work as a school crossing guard right down here on Hertz and Parkway. I can give you some real life experience of what it's like to stand on the street corner with the cars. Before we had the fan, every vehicle that went through, school buses, fire trucks, police cars, trucks pulling trailers, vans, trucks, anything with wheels, would cut that corner so close that I would have to stand in the back and push the kids on the bikes all the way up to the into the grass to avoid being run over. So even though these things may not be the greatest, they do have a purpose. For me, it means I have a better chance of surviving every morning because now cars have to make a proper 90-degree turn and not try to run over me. So even though some people are upset with them, I appreciate them. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for your comments tonight. All right, item number 11. This is a very rare, we don't have a consent agenda tonight, so the only item that would have been on the agenda for consent is the approval of the minutes. So I will assume that the minutes, or I assume that we've all read the minutes from last week, and were there any comments or additions or deletions to the minutes? If not, I'll accept a motion. Mayor Pro Tem Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve item number 11.
Have a second from Councilmember John. All in favor?
Long, Carol, Nevels, John Matthew Hill, all in favor, none opposed.
Thank you very much. Item number 12 is consider approval of a resolution that denies Encore Electric Delivery Company's requested rate increase and authorizing the mayor to sign. Ms. Shavetta.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me tonight. I wanted to put this item before you. It's to consider the approval of a resolution to actually deny an increase that Encore has requested. And back in, I guess it was about this summer, I think it was this summer in prior action, you actually suspended this action in order to give the coalition of cities that's part of Encore time to review the request. And they have determined that the request is not reasonable. So they're asking for a denial of the request. And what will happen after this is that the group, the coalition, will go work with their consultants and come back with a reasonable request that they've negotiated with Encore. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilmember John?
Thank you, Mayor. You talked about that if we deny, they're going to go back and negotiate and I guess come back with a negotiated rate.
Yes.
Do we have an option at that time, or is that something that?
Typically, no, because then the coalition agrees to that request. They, as a coalition, they agree to it. So what happens is the attorney that we work with, the consultant, will go back and review all of the items that are in the request. And I think Bob might have mentioned this earlier, is that they go through and they go through every single thing that's part of the request, and they take out the things that they consider unreasonable that should not be applied to the rate increase. So once we get that next piece, then we typically do approve that as a coalition.
Right, but no choice as to.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank
They
you.
do have the right to ask for increases.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 12.
Second by Councilmember Carroll. All in favor?
Long, Carol, Nevels, John Matthew Hill, all in favor, none opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 13 is the city manager report, project updates, and future agenda.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I hope I can make it through. I've got a tickle in the throat. Just to start off with, y'all had taken an action a few weeks ago about the risk pool for my nomination. Unfortunately, I was not selected to serve on the TML risk pool board. No. Oh, man. After all that, all that campaigning. I think y'all received an email today, at least I understand you did, but the discovercoppelltexas.com webpage went live today, which is part of that marketing program as far as making Coppell a destination and letting people know about it. I think it's called Nearly Perfect, but the webpage is discovercoppelltexas.com, and that's what you contracted with the chamber through the use of the hotel motel tax funds. So that's gone live. And then lastly, the cricket field construction is underway. So if weather holds up, it'll be through before the end of the year. Mayor, that's all I have and all I can say.
Thank you very much. Item number 14 is mayor and council reports. So come on out to Old Town in your Halloween best to trick or treat with some of Coppell's local businesses at Scare on the Square. Participating businesses will be handing out treats from 9 a.m. to noon on Saturday, October 29th. And then the city of Coppell will hold and is holding a special election on Tuesday, November 8th, asking voters whether or not to reauthorize two propositions concerning the allocation of sales and use taxes paid on goods and services purchased within the city limits. Reauthorization of the sales tax collection will not result in an increase to the sales tax rate. Early voting for both Dallas and Denton counties is ongoing through November 4th, 2022. For more information, please visit coppelltx.gov/election. The city of Coppell will once again sponsor the special holiday program called Make a Child Smile. This annual program benefits children living within the Coppell city limits by providing holiday gifts for families who need a little extra help. Your selections can be made between November 1st and December 1st by visiting a website at www.makeachildsmilecoppell.com to choose a virtual ornament. Purchase a gift or clothing and or a toy for the child and return it wrapped to the city manager's office located here at 255 East Parkway with the child's information attached. The goal is to provide at least one toy and one article of clothing for each child. City employees will deliver the gifts prior to Christmas. Should you have any questions, please contact Crystal Patinas in the city manager's office at 972-304-3668. All right, item number 15 is council committee reports concerning items of community involvement with no council action or deliberation required. A is a report on the Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD and Louisville ISD by Councilmember Mark Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's start off with CFB ISD. Mr. Brian Marsh was unanimously selected to serve as the interim superintendent at the special called board meeting on October 14th. Mr. Marsh has more than 33 years of administrative experience. He has served as associate superintendent for CFB ISD since 2019. The annual service years event will be held on October the 25th. This event recognizes and honors employees with 10 years plus of service. This year, they will be honoring a classroom teacher who's been teaching for 50 years at CFB ISD. Very impressive to be there that long. Wow. The Educational Foundation continues to work with local businesses to support innovative classroom and campus grants. Special thanks goes to Atmos Energy for supporting the book vending machine at Carrollton Elementary School. With this special machine, students receive a token when they reach their goals, and then the token is used to choose a book of their choice and to keep and take home. Right now, they're in the middle of their 2023 Citizens Bond Planning Committee. It's met 4 times, and the meetings will continue through the fall before they finalize the bond. And that's all I have for CFB. If we move over here to Louisville ISD. Louisville's Stuff the Food Pantry Drive is this week. While the drive mostly benefits CCA, some campuses choose to support food banks that directly serve their community. Just a note here, Louisville ISD schools and offices will be closed on Tuesday, November 8th. More than 200 high school seniors across the district were recently recognized as National Merit semifinalists or commended students. Plans have already been made for commencement ceremonies for all 5 high schools in the district, and they will return to UNT Coliseum Sunday and Monday, May 28th and 29th. For more details, go to lisd.net/graduation for details. Assurance and Wish for Wheels partnered to give bikes to LISD students. Over 200 students from TCHS and HHS learned about the careers in sports and got to go behind the scenes with a tour of the LPGA. Students and staff across LISD celebrated the 5th annual Kindness Week. Mark Cuban visited Louisville High School to speak to the entrepreneur class, and with the students. Louisville Middle School and Lily J. Jackson Early Childhood Center recognized as a model professional learning community at work. And finally, Ella ISD is introducing an Adopt a School program. This is an opportunity for local businesses to support schools that may not have traditional PTA or parental involvement. It also helps support campus staff and show appreciation for their hard work and dedication to their calling to teach students. If you're interested in adopting a school, please email adoptaschool@lisd.net to get connected. Thank you.
All right. Item B is a report on the Coppell ISD. Councilmember Kevin Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, we're going to get started talking about bond committee updates. So Coppell ISD 2023 Bond Committee, which consists of parents, community members, students, and staff, is hard at work synthesizing the efforts of prior facilities planning committee and visioning committee in order to make a recommendation to the CISD Board of Trustees for a possible bond election in May 2023. More than 50 CISD stakeholders participated in the October 13th Futures Conference at CHS 9. And then there is a community dialogue session that will happen on November 10th at New Tech High at Coppell. So kind of updates on that. Coppell ISD Community Tailgate was held on October 21st, this past weekend. Also, the class of 2002 celebrated their 20-year reunion as well this weekend. Then a couple of accolades that I want to share. 31 CHS students have been selected as 2022-23 National Merit Scholarship semifinalists. Under the leadership of advisors Irma Kennedy and Kendra Carter, the CHS student TV station KCBY has been nominated for several National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Student Production Emmy Awards. I always love reporting that because I am a former KCBY student as well, so love that. Richard J. Lee Elementary has been selected as an Apple Distinguished School for 2022 through 2025. Lee is one of only 26 schools in Texas and one of 6 campuses in North Texas chosen as an Apple Distinguished School. New Tech High at Coppell is also a Apple Distinguished School. Under the leadership of debate director Dr. Jason Sykes and debate teacher and coach Sunhee Simpan, 3 CHS students have qualified for the Texas Forensic Association state team, which is basically the equivalent of making state for debate. Congratulations to the Coppell Varsity Marching Band, which placed 4th at the Bands of America Dallas-Fort Worth Regional held on October 9th. And then lastly, Coppell ISD's boys cross-country team are district champs, and they won their district meet on October 15th in Denton. So, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Item C is report on the Coppell seniors by Councilmember John.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I do want to go ahead and shout out to Councilmember Nevels and Mayor Pro Tem Matthew for being at the senior centers. I think you both could see that the seniors really do appreciate seeing all of you there. And I also want to recognize Senior Center Manager Callie Willis. She's here. I told her that the meeting probably won't be that long, and she stayed all the way to the end. But the Senior Center will be having a chili cook-off and costume contest on Wednesday, tomorrow, October 26th. So if you have your costume, please join us. Fellow Coppell team members will be judging the chili cook-off. And the members are also excited to have this annual event return this year. They are continuing to add programs that were gone away during pandemic, and the seniors are grateful for that. The center also took in more than 20 members to the State Fair of Texas earlier this month, and the seniors reported that the deep fried BLT was the best food this year. And they also found a game of bingo to play while they were at the fair. They could not miss out on that. And there are 2 trips coming up in November, the WinStar World Casino on November 10th, and the Street Fine Chicken on November 15th. If you want to try your luck, you could join the seniors on November 10th to go up to see the WinStar as well. All of the lights inside and outside of the senior and community center is being upgraded to LED lights. The refresh started in the parking lot with a lamppost style lights and has moved indoor to the corridors and activity rooms. The Munch and Learn this month will be a chili cook-off and costume contest. You're all welcome to join and participate in either one of them, especially the costume contest. And that is all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item D is a report on the Historical Society by Councilmember Cliff Long.
Thank you, Mayor. The Historical Society held their Pioneer Day on October the 15th. There were over 950 guests in the park that day, which was a record. That does not include the special guest ex-Vineyard employees that we had there for a ribbon cutting at the Vineyard store that morning at 9:30. And that was well attended too. Joe, how many Vineyards folks were there? Yeah. So plus the 950, there's 150 more. So it was very it was crowded and very much fun. The day was warm. A lot of free snow cones were abundant. Dan Kohler put a very nice article in the paper about the event. This evening, the park is hosting the Dallas Rose Society again, a group of folks from Dallas who have sort of adopted us as a spot to have their meetings. The planning on the Park Museum certification continues. Hopefully that'll be done by the end of the year. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you very much. Item number 16 are public service announcements concerning items of community interest with no council action or deliberation permitted. I do have the first one. On November 7th at 6 p.m. at the Coppell Arts Center, the Coppell City Council and the Coppell Independent the Board of Trustees of the ISD will be holding a joint meeting. This will be at the Arts Center, 6 p.m., and the public is invited. And I believe Councilmember Nevels has an announcement.
I do. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to ask Mayor and Council to excuse this indulgence, but I want to recognize a citizen's birthday today. Happy 9th birthday to my son, Lucas Nevels. We love you, little buddy.
Thank you very much. Any other public service announcements? All right, item number 17, necessary actions from executive session. There were none, so we'll move on to number 18. There being no further business before this council, we are adjourned at 8:59 p.m.